We are speaking with the one and only Junkyard singer David Roach and guitarist Tim Mosher. And as we say here
Hello.
in Montreal, bonjour, gentlemen. How are you?
Bonjour. We're good. Thank you for having us on. It's a real pleasure.
Well, I love the band. In my CD collection, I have everything that's been made available in physical. I know the last couple, Rome is Burning and stuff, were digital only, but I bought that first album with my cash. It wasn't a gift. It wasn't a record company anything. It was Mitch Cash that bought that, and I loved it. It hit at that tail end of the wave, and it sort of got lost, unfortunately. But it was great, fucking great album.
Thanks.
Hollywood. What I'm just looking. I've got it in front of me because I can't not have it in front of me. But what are we looking at here? Blues, Shot in the Dark, Hollywood. I mean, come on, that's top quality.
We
Um,
still we still play all that stuff too. It stood the test of time. So we're playing most
listen,
of
as you should.
it.
It's great stuff. But let me get started here. Just we've got a new single coming out, I believe, August 16th, if I'm not, or the pre-orders.
It goes live August 16th. You can order on acetate.com. You can order the song is Lifer, and the
Lifer.
B-side is one called Last of a Dying Breed. We did a video for Lifer, and the street date for the video and the actual downloads and the CD is September 10. It goes
Oh,
live on acetate, acetate.com. That's the record company,
rest it.
acetate.com.
Yeah.
You can pre-order the vinyl, you can pre-order the CD, you can do all the pre-orders you want to do, and you can start to amass it and add it to your collection. As we all know, there's been a crazy vinyl shortage, and we were trying to time it all so it all could come out on one day, but it was getting to the point that we get further and further down the totem pole about at these vinyl plants, like, let's just do it when we can do it. So you can order the vinyl, which will be signed, the 7-inch vinyl, and it looks really great, by the way.
Wow.
And we will ship that as soon as it gets in. So everyone has to be a little post-pandemic understanding about all this stuff. But the CDs will ship September 10th. The video will go live, and downloads will be available September 10th. All that other stuff, the streaming and all that. But you can start pre-ordering at acetate.com on August 16th to get your place in line for the vinyl, and we will get it to you as quick as we can. So we were just
Yeah.
really sitting around, like our hands were tied, and finally we just said to the label, like, let's just start getting it out and see, what people understand. Things are weird. It's just the way it
Well,
is.
and it's not just a shortage of vinyl. One of the great plants that does all the raw materials burnt to the ground over the last,
Yes, and we're running. I mean, the stuff we've been running into. I mean,
and the
well,
pandemic, and it's
it's
just
a
it's
whole new
nuts.
world. We all know that. So I think people are going to be understanding. We had our vision of like having it all come out and be this great, but you can buy the vinyl. It just won't get to you it won't ship on the 10th. Maybe it will, but we can't promise it. So, but
Yeah.
the CD and the downloads and the video will all be live on the 10th.
Let me
So
just
yeah,
ask
it's
you,
pretty exciting.
for the folks that do want to get the vinyl, and it will be delayed. We know it will be. Will you at least offer them a digital download so that they can at least sort of party with the song until
Yeah,
they get their
I think
product?
we'll probably set it up so when you buy the vinyl, it comes with a digital download
Yeah.
code.
Okay,
So
that
yes,
that that would make sense
we
because
do that with any physical. You get a download code with it. I think I even CDs. I think we do that too. Because we realize people want to have it on all the.
right
I,
away.
I sort of think sometimes just people buy our vinyl and put it in a frame and stick it on the wall. To be quite honest with you, but that's okay. Once you bought it, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't. It doesn't matter to
Funny,
us.
I
So
was actually having a conversation with a guy today who was showing me all his vinyl and it was all wrapped. And I said, "Well, what do you?" He goes, "I don't have a record player. I just think it looks cool."
it's great art. We all know that. So yes, you will get a download code for sure with the vinyl. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, I've got a whole bunch. I got stacks and stacks of CDs right here, and I literally put them in my iTunes, and I actually never play them after that. I just transfer them, and then
Yeah.
I use a digital file. But before we get caught up in all that stuff, the song itself, "Lifer," is a fantastic song, and I
Thank
like
you.
the thought of it because here's a band that you really have to be a lifer to be in. It's easy to be in Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones and be at the Four Seasons, but you really got to love what you're doing to do it the way Junkyard does it. And I respect that. I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that you keep going and keep making new music. Right, Dave?
Yeah, it's all we know.
Yeah, and you do it very well. So this single, is it part of an album coming out down the road, or is it just here's one song and enjoy it, and then we'll do another song later on and enjoy? Because Rome is Burning, which I'm just looking at, it was 4 songs. No, wait, 6 songs, right? Yeah, 6.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Sick. That was the stuff that was when you bought the Vine. There was a bonus CD we did with
Right,
High Water, and it was
High
a lot of
Water.
that, and then a couple other odds and ends, and like the B side from the original single, which sort of brings us back to how we're going to probably do the next record, because for High Water, Faded, the single came out before it, way before it. This won't be as long, but it was always intended that we would go into an album. And that's the
It
same with
was
this.
2 hours, 2 years before the fade.
Well, yeah, we ran into business problems, as they say. So we had to find someone to put the rest of the fucking thing out, So,
Right.
which we were lucky enough to do, and we were able to really start in earnest. And it was also, we hadn't done anything in so long. So when we put Faded out, we didn't really know if anyone was gonna notice, care, like it. It's a big gap to like all of a sudden say, here we are again with a new piece of music. Now we have a little more, I don't know, confidence or a sense of where we fit in the grand scheme of things, maybe. But then it's just like, okay, let's see how it goes. And we were very, I don't know, Dave, to say, but we always thought it was a good song, but you never know until you start getting them out there. So
Yeah.
that model kind of worked for this, and also we
Well,
had
okay.
this.
Here, do me a favor. Talk to me about the new reality for a band like Junkyard, and for a lot of these older bands, or any actually. I take that back. For any band, it's a different place. Talk to me about you have to put out an advanced single. You have to tease. You have to test the waters. It's not here is our album. It's August 9th, and off you go, and we're going to tour for 2 years. It's not like that anymore. So talk to me about that new reality of marketing and doing the Rome is Burning bonus stuff. And you just got to keep it exciting and different, and you got to have new ideas all the time.
That's kind of new for us, because I don't know, David could speak to this too. We came from the school of, because we're old school, of like the album statement, like you said, that's it, it's dropped, and here's the first Yard album, and here's the follow-up, and we just keep it going, and the single comes out, and this, but now things are done more drips and drabs, a single here that might be or might not be. Rome is Burning was really kind of a pandemic relief, like knowing we weren't going to be able to do anything. And there would always been requests from people, because it was pretty hard to get those B-sides and stuff in one central place. And also knowing that we were going to have a hard time making physicals of it, we said, let's just do something to hold, basically, like you said, like that keeps us in their minds a bit. And so we're kind of Luddites still. I mean, we're learning as we go, and I think we make as many mistakes about how this stuff is. I mean, there's obviously the younger bands could teach us a lot, but also knowing our kind of fan bases, like I said, they like physical stuff too. They always seem to be wanting something physical. And so that kind of makes us, we're an analog band with analog fans, maybe, What I mean?
By the way, that's a great title for a song or even an album. Here's a thought.
I would
John,
add that it's just,
go ahead.
no, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to give you a new question, so if you want to add, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a different world today too, as far as promoting and like touring to promote an album, because there's just not that many options out there. There's not that much interest in, at least our kind of second tier class rock and roll at not that many venues. And, you can't go out on a 6-week tour and be the way we do it and be stuck in Tucumcari on a Tuesday night and have to pay for a motel. And, it's just a different world. That's
Right.
why we do the flyouts on the weekends and hit 2 or 3 cities that we can easily reach with a soccer mom band.
Here's what I was going to say, though. John Five, the guitarist, Rob Zombie and stuff, you all know John Five.
Yeah. Sure.
He did, on his last couple of releases, a single a month. So he had the single of a month club, on the first of every month, here's a new single. And then after 10 months, here's the album. And I said, well, why would you do that? You sort of gave all the music away before the album. And he said, well, here's what you don't understand, Mitch. He said, for 10 months, people were anticipating a new song every month. They were talking about the new song coming out. They were talking about the song when it came out. And then they were talking about the next song that's going to come out. So for a year, they talked about my album. And I went, oh, yeah. That's actually pretty smart.
That's not bad.
Yeah, these young guys are all savvy like that. I mean, like I said, we're like,
I know. What a great
I also
what a
worry
great
about,
thought
like,
though, right? I
I
mean,
know, but
he
you gotta
literally
have,
could do an interview a month.
you gotta have 10 great songs to do 10 singles in a row. If you ask me, that's a high. I mean, Beatles never did that. I mean, it's hard to do 10 good songs in a row. I mean, we struggle to. I mean, making an album is hard. Like we work really hard to make sure every song is great, and so we have a high bar that we set about quality and what we want to be talking about, and so maybe too high, maybe we're too persnickety. I think probably some people would say that, but I think in the end it's
no. If you can come up with 10 lifers, you're good to go because it is a good
that.
song.
Just do that.
Just do that. It's not that hard. 10 faded and 10 lifers. All right, let me.
It's so easy. Just go ahead. What are you sitting around? You got time. Come on.
Yeah. What are you doing? It's not that. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to write a song. You sit outside, you stare at the birds, you get inspired.
Give us another Simple Man. Just spit one of those out. Come on.
I mean, another Hollywood.
Come on.
Do like some of the bands and just re-record all the first songs.
Still played 30 years after it came out. Just do that again. You know?
Right. Let me ask you this, David.
We do have 2/3 of the album written, probably.
We do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Close to
we have the
2/3,
most of it done. Yeah.
See, so you can
and
start.
I think it's probably going to be our best album.
Well, that's good to hear.
That's my feel.
Good. I'm glad. I'm being invaded by dogs right now. Sorry about that, folks. They're not supposed to be here.
I have 3.
But let me ask you this, David. The first album, you were not in that glam world. You were not Poison. You were not one of those bands. You were different. You were more punk rock. You were more sort of in your face. Your choice of producer on the first album was Tom Werman, and I'll be very open. Tom's a friend of mine. I've actually slept at his house. But he's more of a pop producer, sort of a candy-coated producer. He takes your songs and he sweetens them up and makes them very radio-friendly, which is why Motley Crue and everybody that's worked with him, their most successful albums have been Tom. How did that choice come about for you? Was that thrown upon you? Was that, oh my God, it's the guy who did Cheap Trick?
It was a Geffen choice. They wanted to prime us for the best possible, chance to get on radio, I guess. And Tom was great to work with. I mean, we had a lot of fun. He's a great guy. And his engineers, Dwayne Barron and Tom, name escapes me, both really great guys and great to work with. My personal opinion, though, I agree. I feel like I sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and it's a little too canned sounding for my taste.
Well, it's sugary sweet. I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah.
I remember at the time, because I was there, I wasn't in the band, but I remember when he got hired, and our first thought was, oh, Cheap Trick and Ted Nugent. He did those records that we liked by him. I mean, yes. I guess the Motley Crue record had come out by then, but we didn't really pay as much attention to that as like, well, he did Heaven Tonight. We loved Heaven Tonight, and
as you should. It's a great fucking album.
He did not Cat Script Fever, the one before that for Nugent that I always liked. Free for All. Didn't he do Free for All? I always liked that.
Yeah, I think he did the first 3 or 4 for
Nugent. So that was, as I recall, that's what we were kind of like. I mean, Cheap Trick is always kind of the stamp of approval in our little minds. It's like, well, it worked with Cheap Trick, So I remember when you guys got him, when the band got him, I was like, that's awesome. It'll be great, I mean, the 80s did, I made an album in the 80s too, and, production of that era is fraught. Let's just say that. So across the board, it wasn't just Werman; it was everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a different way of looking at things. Then
you look at the singles that came from. You look at Blues Hollywood and Simple Man, the singles that came from the Tom Werman produced album, and you go, well, 30 years later, I still know them. So obviously he did something, right? And of course, I don't want to discredit the band. Obviously, the band wrote great songs and had great material, but we're still talking about it 32 years later. So Tom must have done his job.
It's better live.
It's funny you say that, because when you talk to me about who's better live than on studio album, I will tell you Cheap Trick, Motley Crue, and Ted Nugent. So
that's probably true, right? Yeah.
No offense.
It's probably true. Yeah. That's right.
since we're talking about the live show, that is really sort of the bread and butter for the band right now. How important is the live show, and to really just, when you step on stage, deliver the goods and not just go through the motions, and really deliver a live performance for fans that go, fuck, that was great. I need to see them next time they come to town.
I think that's been our staple through our career is full bore, 110% performance, all energy, and never mail it in. And never do it for the bread and butter, because we don't get any bread and butter.
Yeah, it's, as David says, love of the game. You know, it's the only way we know how to do it. It's the only way we can get ourselves in the state to deliver the songs. I think they're not really passive songs. I don't know if I could sit on a stool and play blues. You know what I'm saying? It's just be weird. You know what I mean? It's just even the ballads are powerful. You know, so it's just, and it's also, you know, we're all a bunch of aging punks, and so we come from that, you know, confrontational, energetic band thing. All of us, and that's what we like. That's what I like to see out of bands. You know, I remember we did this. I don't know if you remember this, David, but we did a bunch of shows, a handful of shows in England with Blackberry Smoke, and it was us and the band, the Quaker City Nighthawks, was first on, and then us. And they're to us like, you know, youngins, late 20s, great band, very cool. And they watch our shows and just like, you guys move around so much. I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, how do you do it? I'm like, I wouldn't be able to play. I'm like, well, that's not, people aren't really listening. You know, they want to see the whole thing. And, but it's just a different way. And sometimes we get up in places and it's just that, some bands just aren't that way, but that's just, I don't know.
The way you do it. So let me ask you this. When you put out High Water in 2017 and you're working on the new album, do you sort of say to yourself, okay, we have to be able to play this live? I mean, do you think to yourself, this has to translate live? Or do you go, fuck it, I'm going to put the Pro Tools and I'm going to put the keyboards and we're going to do the orchestration in the back and we'll just make it up when we play it live?
We don't play everything off every album. Some don't translate as well live.
I don't think we thought about that at all.
Okay.
When I was making the record, I always assumed we would play stuff from the album live, right. But I never thought we need to be able to play this one live. Therefore, I'm not going to do this or whatever it is musically. Usually
we write the songs, we make the album, and then we'll try them in rehearsal. And sometimes it's pretty obvious whether we feel like as a band, whether it's going to work live or not.
I mean, some stuff on High Water, some stuff on High Water we have never even performed as a group. Like Pat would play his bit, and someone would play. You know, we weren't even in the same. So it really varies. But I think we're always just serving the song first of all when you're making a record. Serve the song, whatever's best for the song. That's it. If it ends up being like that harmony's too hard to pull off live, well then that's an issue. You know, I mean, we don't do anything taped or anything like that. It's just way above our technical prowess, so we wouldn't even try it. But you know, we also sort of know, you know, Junkyard's like a good table. You know, there's the legs of the table are solid. So when you put on the foundation of the band, right. You know, that what it started from, what it is now, it gives you a good place to start. So it's nothing like coming out from left field too much. You know, we are what we are. And just some songs always work better live than others. It's just the nature of it, you know.
And what you are is a great dirty rock and roll band. It's fantastic. I love that style.
Well, that's the goal,
and it's working. so let me ask you this: you come back with High Water. You've got the new single Lifer. You're making new music, which I appreciate, because bands to me that don't make new music, I can't do it. That's why I still love Cheap Trick. That's why I still love Alice Cooper, because they're still making new stuff. How important is it for you though to have something new to play and some new creativity? Because you could honestly book shows across the states and say Junkyard playing their debut album, charge 15, 20, 30 bucks, whatever, and sell it out. No issue. But you're not doing that. So how important is it to have that creative output and have new music and say, no. Yes, we do Hollywood, but we're also going to do this new stuff.
It keeps it a lot more interesting for us. You know, I mean, the fans are always going to want to hear the staple hits.
Of course.
But, you know, we haven't departed much from our original vibe. So it's not like we're knocking them over the head with some jazz exploration or some, you know, new weird angle on us. You know, we are what we are. So we can mix in some new songs and they usually catch on pretty fast.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of bands, like you mentioned, from our era that continue to tour and haven't put out an album for decades.
Yeah. It drives me crazy. I can't, it drives me nuts.
I think most importantly, it would probably drive us crazy. And,
Yeah.
you know, overarchingly, this is sort of an art project. Like, it's a chance for us to do something. So being in a Junkyard cover band is not really interesting to me. It's much more interesting when we're trying to, I mean, we might fail at stuff.
But you have
I'm
to
sure
try.
we have, but we have to try. And I think we've all got into this to make music. And so new is always, that's what keeps you going, is new. I mean, and we are blessed that we have a fan base, first of all. We're
Yes.
really blessed of any sort. And that we have a fan base that a lot of them have grown with us and accept the new. Some don't. That's okay. And we always make sure they get taken care of too. But they understand that that's what we're about. We are doing new things. And if that's not what you're looking for, there's other bands that you can go and see who are just going to give you what you want.
Right.
But, you know, we lived through the 80s and all that stuff, and it was great, but I don't want to relive it. I just want to build from this artistic thing that we all kind of came out of and keep it going and see how far we can take it that is interesting to us. The atrophy of you know, it's not in us. We're always kind of, at least me, I'm a kind of a pusher of like new ideas and let's try something. And, you know, I'd rather fail
the most important
than
thing.
doing nothing, you know?
You know, the most important thing you just said there is that you're not afraid to fail. And is every song going to be great? Is every show? Who cares? You at least have to try. And that I respect, you know.
I'm afraid to fail.
But it's going to happen, and it doesn't matter. You know.
And you know what the thing about Junkyard too is we you know, we always sound like Junkyard no matter what song we're playing. But you know, we can have some punk influence or some blues or country influence. But at the end of the day, it always sounds like Junkyard to me.
I think so. Yeah, I think like I was saying, like our base is so sturdy and strong and well honed through all these years that when we pull things in, you know, we're experimenting on the edges to some, in some people's minds, but to us, they're big steps. Like I think Lifer was a pretty big jump for us in terms of people will hear it hopefully soon, and hopefully they agree. They may not, but it is a sort of a leap. And we took on a different, more anthemic approach, things that we wouldn't necessarily have always done before, but it felt good. And it sounded honest. I mean, I think that's the key. David's lyrics are really honest. And I think as long as we're honest, people relate to it, even if it's, you know, I think that's what always brings people back to us is the honesty in what we're doing, because we don't know how to, you know, we don't write about things that we haven't done because we wouldn't be.
Yeah, you're not faking it. And I got to say, what I liked about Lifer, and this is just for my own person, I liked not knowing what I was going to hear. I liked the fact that there was an anticipation of, and I was also like, oh God, is this going to be horrible? And I played it and it was great. And I went, beautiful. But I like that sort of fear of, oh God, new music, old band, here we go.
I hear you,
and
man.
It hits you, and it's just like, boom, they did it. Thank you. Well done.
It's funny when Faded came out, there was a lot of like, whoa. You know, like it's actually good,
right?
You know, like,
and it's not meant as an insult. It's not at all meant as an insult. It's like you hear, oh, Kiss has a new album, and you go, oh God, what's it going to be? And you hear, it and you go, oh, okay.
Right.
And I like that.
Well,
yeah, but I like that feeling of as a fan of I've got something to anticipate and hope for, and hey, Lifer's a great song. So
and hopefully people are willing. You know, I was always liked when I'd get whoever it was. Whether it was when I was young, I would buy the new Stones album, wherever, or Aerosmith, whatever. If the record first put it on, and I'm a little challenged by it, like,
you hear Emotional Rescue for the first time, and you go,
like, what is this about, or whatever? Or the Clash did it a lot. They changed all the time, and at first you're like, I don't know about this, and then you come, so that's where I sort of fall into, like, and the Clash were obviously more expansive than we would ever even attempt to be, but just even like I said at the margins, if we're pushing people, go, oh, okay. And that to me is a win. Like, wow, okay, we've tune their ears a little bit to broaden our ability to try other things, with still staying within a place that we feel, comfortable and is appropriate to what we are.
Well, listen, as a Stones fan, when you first heard Harlem Shuffle or Emotional Rescue, didn't you just go, "Oh, what the hell is that?"
Absolutely. It's like,
But now, 40 years later, you're like, that's a fucking great song.
Well, they had, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You got to, they're great songwriters, and I think one of the things that this band relies on is that if it's a good song, we'll make it work, and people will come around to it because it's a good song.
Yeah.
And back to what I was saying, like at the end of the day, it sounds like a Junkyard song. At the end of the day, it sounds like a Rolling Stones song.
Yeah.
You get used to it, and it's the Stones.
Right.
It's the Stones, and it's Junkyard, and we love it. Lifer, of course, September 10th, and it's Acetate.
Street date September 10th. I'm sorry.
And
Acetate.com.
Go ahead. I'll let you do the because you know it better than I do.
Well, and this is brand new news. We're telling you first. This is the first we can officially say. The street date for Lifer is September 10th. Pre-order is available August 16th on acetate.com for vinyl and CD. And the video and the download and everything and the CDs will ship September 10th, and vinyl hopefully as soon as it comes in. But it is officially coming out. I know our people have been kind of saying, is this actually going to happen? And I'm one of these people. Is this actually going to happen? But it is going to actually happen, it looks like.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. And before I put this out on August 16th, can I mention it on my socials, or do you want me to time it with the release of the episode?
Oh, that's fine. I think so. Sure.
I can start spreading the news because I'm good to go with that.
Okay. I'd love it.
My wonderful Twitter does 8.5 million impressions per month.
Oh, shit. Well, then start now.
Why are we still talking?
Yeah. Hang up.
Well, since I listen, I promise you I will do it this afternoon. Do you have a graphic that goes with like an album cover or something that I can, or no?
I can probably get my hands on something that you can. There's a single cover. Yes, I'll get my mitts on a version and I'll email it to you. You can.
Yeah, and as soon as it's emailed, I will pump it out and we'll start promoting it. Let's go.
Beautiful. I love it.
As we say in Montreal, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Bien aussi.
Bienvenue.
Bienvenue. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, David. David, absolute pleasure also to talk to you. I mean, I loved what you did. So.
Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it, man. I listen to your podcast all the time, so it's cool to be on it. So
well, yeah, and I will have this one up next Monday, right? Yeah.
Great.
There you go.
We'll be on some plane coming home from somewhere, but yeah.
Hey, listen, it spends the time, and it's also
exactly.
I've also got a whole bunch of weird guests. I've got CCR coming up this week, and
really,
yeah, I spoke to Doug Clifford.
Wow, how cool!
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I love my CCR boys. And anyway,
sure,
so there you go.
Great.
There you go.
Doug
so
Clifford.
you're gonna be right after. You're gonna be right after Doug Clifford. You're gonna be the episode right after Doug Clifford.
Well, as we should be.
As you should be. Hey, both very honest rock and roll.
They were one of the best bands ever, no doubt.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thanks. Good to talk to you. Good to meet you.
You too. Cheers.
And thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Take care.